Welcome inside Black and Gold. Steve Geller and Jeff Nowak coming to you on a Victory Monday, folks. Jeff, it has been way too long, my man. How'd it feel to be on the field in the Dome, tasting victory along with the team?
We did it. It can happen. The Saints can win a football game. What was it, week 11, week 10 of last year, the last time they won a game in the Superdome?
Yeah, right.
I think it was against the Browns. It was the game Taysom Hill went nuts, and fittingly. So, okay, here you go. The last time the Saints won a game before yesterday was against the Giants.
Right.
The last time the Saints won a game in the Superdome was against the Browns, whose starting quarterback in that game was Jameis Winston, who was also on the Giants. So the Saints' last two wins,
Jameis
in terms of overall and in terms of at home, were against teams that had Jameis Winston as a quarterback. So logic would dictate that Jameis is the reason the Saints won yesterday, even though he didn't play a snap.
Can we get him somehow to the Patriots for next week?
That's a good question. But Tommy DeVito is on the Patriots, so that's another one. As long as there's a Giants connection,
maybe okay. Good. I like it.
I think we're good. Because I kind of felt like that game felt a lot like the Tommy DeVito game. That game felt a lot like, honestly, if you go back and I tweeted about this, the numbers are insane when you really kind of compare them. Do you remember that game against the Bears in 2023? I think it was week 10. Tyson Bagent was the quarterback, so another rookie was the quarterback. The Saints got 5 takeaways in that game, but only scored 24 points. Does that sound familiar? Like there was a lot like that in this game. Like just for perspective, in that Bears game, the Giants so in both games, the losing team got more yards than the Saints, who won. In both games, the Saints ran exactly 62 plays. In both games, the Saints forced 5 turnovers and did not commit one. In that game, it was 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles. Paulson Adebo had the game of his life, who was also in the game yesterday. And in both games, the opposing team had exactly 8 penalties. In both games, the Saints got exactly 18 first downs. It was like, yeah, and all this is to say, the NFL writers are getting lazy because they clearly just reused that script for this game, and they thought we wouldn't notice. That's what happened.
That's pretty wild. The too many similarities there, and then we need to have Jameis and Adebo around at the same time. It looks like.
Apparently, if you just run double moves at Adebo, he can't figure it out because they didn't handle it well in that game. But no, I think in reality, it's like there's only so many types of like you've seen every NFL game by this point in your if you've watched 10 years of NFL football, you've seen every type of game, right? Because every game is a little different, but at the end of the day, there's similar archetypes for games. It's like we've seen that exact game play out before, and it played out exactly like that. And like you watch defenses deal with a rookie quarterback, and why were they able to go down the first 2 drives and score touchdowns, and then suddenly it just doesn't seem to work? Well, once you figure out the other team's plan, you can play it better, right? I think it really is that simple. Kool-Aid McKinstry was talking after the game, we figured out what they wanted to do, and then we took it away, right? It feels impossible when you're watching it happen in real time and they score touchdowns on their 2 opening possessions, but then you're like, yeah, it's easy enough, right?
Yeah, at first, all the negative talk with the Saints should have been drafting Jackson Dart was at a roar to start the game, and then it quickly got really silent, like the Arch Manning talk.
Yeah, seriously, no, I had people tweeting at me how do they justify not trading him for Jackson Dart after the second touchdown drive? And then by the end of the game, I didn't seem to be hearing from those people. I hope they're okay. But this is the cold open. This is going to be our standard post-game episode, so we're going to do stock up, stock down. I want to talk in the second segment about Spencer Rattler, about Kellen Moore getting that first win. Damn, it feels good to be a winner. That sort of thing. Yeah. Even at 1-4, it feels good. But I did want to play this clip. Taysom Hill, Foster Moreau leading the Who Dat chant to open the game. This was the kind of the tone setter, in my opinion. So let's hear it. I think even the Giants fans were excited about that, Steve. There's a lot of them.
That's great footage, man.
That is good footage, isn't it? Sometimes I just like to prove that I'm there. You know, I'll just take a video and play it for you guys, just so you know I'm not lying to you. I am actually down there. But that was exciting, and it was exciting to see those guys back. You know, the last time we talked in this podcast, I made the incorrect assumption that neither would be active, and I was wrong. They were both active, and they both participated. So we'll talk more about that. But this is Inside Black and Gold. We're gonna have a good show for you. Going to be a lot of clips. I have a interview I did with Jordan Howden walking off the field. We'll listen to that. We'll hear from Kellen Moore. We'll hear from Spencer Rattler. Dive in on, you know, what all went well, right? But also what went wrong. Like, this is not going to be the type of episode where we focus on like, it's all good. It's all positive. There were some bad things that happened in this game, and you kind of forget about it because the second half was so one-sided, like so absurdly one-sided that it's hard to be negative. I'm still going to try. Whenever things are going terribly, I make an effort to be positive somehow, find a silver lining. Whenever things are going great, I'm going to try to make an effort to be a lead balloon. Just drop right on your head. So just keep that in mind. It is thundering, so if we lose power here, then you'll find out by the screen going black. But
does your pooch hide for the thunder and rain?
Not this one. The old one, Zuma, my old dog, RIP, died on my wedding day. That's a bit of lore it's a bit of my lore that you may not know. Like, the morning of my wedding, my dog had to be put down by a dog sitter. That's kind of dark, but it's true. The dog was like, "Oh, this is your happiest day. I'm gonna make it all about me." Anyway, that's a long story there. But the new dog doesn't seem to care. So, yeah, it's a win.
Yeah, mine is burrowed under the bed already.
I'm going to cut this out of the podcast because it's going to come off weird in the audio context. But, yeah, haven't seen the dog. She'll show up eventually, probably wanting to be taken for a walk because it's noon is her walk time. But anyway, that was a weird digression on a podcast. Who Dat? Go Saints. We will be right back. And we are back on Inside Black and Gold. The Saints have won a game. The Saints are 1-4. The Saints are no longer on the list of the one team in the NFL that does not have at least one win and one loss, because that team is the Jets. They're having a hard time. New York football, rough these days, but
you saw the stat for them. They're the only team in the NFL history that's gone 0-5 and have 0 takeaways.
That is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That is pretty amazing. And that's the thing. Like, the Saints start has been ugly, but it has only been ugly on the record line and in one game. The rest has been kind of like, they're right there. They're right there. They're right there. There's positives to take out of it. I don't know how many positives you have for the Giants, because, like, I'm saying for the Jets, because, like, you didn't even draft a young quarterback. So it's like, we're just struggling with Justin Fields and it is what it is. New head coach really having a hard time, but we'll get over that. We're going to talk about the Saints here. And, Steve, I just like how it feels like a giant relief, if you will. Like, just stop talking about it. Like, we don't have to talk about 0-10, 0-11. Wow, the longest streak to start a career in quarterback history without a win, right? Now that's just Troy Aikman and Deshaun Kaiser. We don't need a third name. We don't have to mention the third name on the list. Come on, there's a bunch of guys with 10. So, it's like, how did you react to that? Like, what was the mood in the post game? Like, I know the swamp room was buzzing. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's been starved for that victory since last season, back in December. We know it was against the Giants. But yeah, Who Dats have been waiting to unleash after a win. You go into a victory Monday happy. The swamp room, like you said, you had a bunch of characters, and things are going well when costume folks start coming in. Everyone's not just, dying to get home and just rip off their garbs and lie in bed and cry.
Pretend it never happened.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that won't let them keep hurting me. How do they keep getting away with this?
I can't keep getting away with this.
Right.
But no, and I mean, like, yeah, Kellen Moore and Spencer, they tried to kind of, play it cool after the game. But, both these guys, that's just such a weight lifted. Because here's the thing, like, they should have beat the Giants. They were favored going into that game, right? Like, the betting line, the Vegas was like, the Saints are probably going to win this game. But you still got to go out there and do it. And the way it started, I mean, that was ugly. You're down 14-3, like, until you got that long touchdown. Like, it was kind of a sketchy environment. Like, the Giants fans were being loud. Saints fans were like, here we go again. Then you have that touchdown. Everything kind of loosens up, and suddenly you're dominating. Suddenly it's the Giants. I tweeted this mid-game, and it was one of my few tweets that has aged like fine wine, which was basically like, guys, the Saints fans in the building are learning in real time that the Giants are like the decade-long industry leaders in making the type of plays that lose football games. Right?
Ding, ding, ding.
And I tweeted that like just like right after that long touchdown, but it's like I could have tweeted that 5 different times throughout the course of the game of like, Jackson Dart had, like, we can give the Saints defense all the credit in the world for being opportunistic and coming up with takeaways. One of the Giants fumbles, Jackson Dart like knocked the ball out of his own arms with his knee. Like, what?
That was just odd. You just saw that's something you're used to, like, happening to us on the negative end, and you see Dart just out of nowhere. Who knows who jarred that ball loose? The spirit of someone.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, I've seen Eli Manning make fumbles like that, but like, Jackson's a more athletic guy. It was like Eli's fumbles, non-contact fumbles, were like, oh no, what am I doing? I don't know how to run. Bryce Young also had a fumble almost identical to that yesterday. It was a couple crazy games in the NFC South yesterday with the Bucks coming back against the
Everyone
Seahawks.
won, right?
Actually, the Bucks and Seahawks, that game was kind of neck and neck the whole way, but the Panthers were down 17-0. The Dolphins came back and won. Falcons didn't play, which, crazy for them too. But no, I mean, I'm just happy for Spencer. It wasn't even, I wouldn't even say it was his best game. He had his best throw of the season in terms of like the result. But, like, there's a lot of meat left on the bone in that game. But like, for the 5th week in a row, you saw a guy play the way you need to play to win games, or at least like play in such a way that you allow your team to help you win a game. And this week, his teammates, his defense, helped him win that game. Rashid got wide open on a deep ball, and that became a massive play to kind of swing momentum. All those takeaways, the 87-yard kick or fumble, scoop and score from Jordan Howden. Like, these are the type of plays that the rest of the team can make around a quarterback that's doing things the right way, that win you the game. It's how the Giants beat the Chargers last week, right? Like, they had the 2 interceptions, take it down to the goal line. Suddenly you get some free points and you can defend it. The Saints defense did that for Spencer today. And it's like, this is what could have been happening in weeks 1, 2, and 4. But you didn't get those big plays in those big moments. Instead of the ball bouncing off Pete Werner's chest, you collected it, right? And you put that in a position for the quarterback. So I don't know, like, it's just, this is not going to mean anything in the long run, right? Like, the Saints could go out and lose their next 3 games and you're 1-7 and you're like, wow, that win was fun. But it's just kind of like a proof of concept thing. And it's just, if this had dragged out 2 weeks, 3 weeks, suddenly you're 0-7, then it's like, man, this is really ugly. And at least now you could put the focus on like, okay, we're building to something. We're not there yet, but we're building to something. And it kind of takes the pressure off.
Yeah, because not so fast. If you thought the Patriots are going to come in here and just roll over, they went into Buffalo amazingly and pulled out the victory on Sunday Night Football. So obviously a bunch that's been looking a lot better with Drake May at QB, but with Spencer Rattler back to Saints talk, I like the fact that I feel like I trust him mentally managing the game as well. He's been really smart with decision making, and obviously not having those costly takeaways where he's just putting it up.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is Kellen Moore talking about, Spencer Rattler's day and kind of getting him that first win.
I thought I did a lot of good. I'm really happy for Spence. He's battled through a lot, through certainly a year and a half of football, here, and so thought he's played a lot of good football this year with us. He's competed each and every week. We've been really close. We haven't gotten it done collectively. For him to get this one, he's earned it. He's earned it, and I thought he had a huge impact on this game in a positive way.
Yeah, and so what is that? Well, Spencer Rattler was pressured on 53% of his dropbacks in that game. Was not sacked. The Giants had 17 pressures in the game, according to Next Gen Stats, and that is the most pressures generated by any team that did not record a sack in a game. Right? And so when I look at Spencer and I say, okay, where has he made the most strides as a player, as a quarterback in year 2 compared to year 1? There's moments where you're like, oh, that's a throw he wouldn't have made last year. This is a read he wouldn't have made last year. But more than anything else, it is sack avoidance. It is not generating sacks, right? Because there's going to be sacks. Inevitably, there's going to be sacks, especially late in the game. Third down, you're trying to make something happen. You're going to hold the ball a little long. Defense is going to be able to make a play. But the quarterback created sacks that were very prevalent last year have just not been there. There's been 2 or 3. I think he's been sacked 9 times. I would say maybe 2 of those were sacks that Spencer probably shouldn't have taken if he had played it a little differently. He might have been able to avoid it or get the ball out, throw the ball away, whatever. But there's only been a handful of those. And when you're pressured 17 times in a game and you don't create a sack as the quarterback, that's winning football, right? And, we talked about this in the pregame. He said in his Wednesday press conference last week, he's like, I don't feel like I'm playing losing football. And there's a difference between not playing losing football and playing winning football. And Spencer has been kind of living somewhere in between those two things. And that would be kind of game manager. And I think he's still in that realm, but in a matchup like that, and we talked about this, do you need to be hyper aggressive going in? Do you need to send a ton of pressure at the rookie quarterback or just allow him to create scenarios for you to win? And I think that's what that game was. It was, hey, we're going to play a certain way and we're going to win this game because the Giants are going to give it to us if we allow them to give it to us. And that's what happened. So I don't know. I'm excited.
It was just wild how things flipped so quickly. Because the start of the game, it was like you're still kind of getting settled in for the whole here, and all of a sudden it's 14-3, and you're like, this can't be happening right now.
Yeah, and Justin Reed went out. You allow a touchdown drive. Justin Reed goes out with a concussion. You replace him with Jordan Howden. You allow another touchdown drive. Theo Johnson is just uncoverable.
Right.
And you're like, man, just Jackson Dart, that dude, is he really going to just see Jaden Daniels right now, just going to go nuts? And the answer was no. But and to be fair, the Giants had opportunities. It wasn't like the Saints just took everything away and the Giants just had nothing. The Giants had a flea flicker wide open. And it would have been a great 10-year anniversary of the flea flicker from it was Mark Ingram to Drew Brees to, I want to say it was Willie Snead in the matchup with the Saints and the Giants, just in reverse, right? And I mean, Jackson Dart just left the ball 10 yards short of where it should have been. And Terrell Burgess, to his credit, made a great play. Jordan Howden made sure to say, hey, you need to talk about this play. So we're going to talk about this play.
I was so worried the flag was getting thrown, Jeff.
Well, here's the thing, and that's what made it. That was the impressive part. It wasn't that, he made this incredible play, because he kind of got beat on the play, but it was how he recovered. And this is Kellen Moore talking about this play, and I agree with him.
Then what did you think of Burgess's?
Yeah, obviously, as soon as you see it, oh man, here we go. And I mean, awesome play. Burgess, the ability to recognize it, the ability not to panic in that situation, because so many times there's clips all over where guys just go and run into the guy, and okay, we stopped the play, but it's a 50-yard gain in that situation. For him just to still compete, have some patience to himself as far as some calmness, I thought it was a big time play. It was a critical play for us.
Yeah, and I agree with that. The impressive thing about that play is not necessarily that it was made. It was that he was able to make it without running through the guy for a pass interference call, which you see all the time, right? A guy's panicking. He's trying to scramble downfield. The ball's underthrown. He doesn't see it. Terrell made a great play. And I think that was one of the bigger differences in the game was the Saints had a few penalty issues early in the game, but they really kind of settled in, particularly on defense. And like while the Giants were having these really costly pass interference penalties, they negated an interception because the guy just stupidly like threw Chris Olave to the ground on a ball that was like thrown up for grabs. And Paul Adebo had a pass interference that helped extend a drive and create a big play. The Giants didn't have that. I'm sorry, the Saints didn't have that. The Saints relied on young players on the edges and on the back end, and they weren't the ones making stupid errors. So like that's a big and that's why like why was I not being incredibly negative after the 0-4 start? Because the way they played up in Buffalo and bounced back from that really ugly game in Seattle, to me, looks like good coaching. Like to me, that's a sign that you are getting the guys to do what you need them to do. They are the coaching is resonating. The mistakes are being corrected. And even with the rough start and the penalties, what'd you have 5 for like 27 yards? Like that's nothing. So no, I was really encouraged by how that all went. And like, I think we talked about this in the pregame show. Like to me, that game was a hinge. The season could have swung one way or the other. And if you lose that game, suddenly you're talking about, is it time to change quarterbacks? Does Kellen Moore have it? You can't even win matchups that you should win. How are you going to win matchups against teams that are better than you? Or at least be competitive in those. And instead you have, hey, we got our first win, Spencer Rattler and Kellen Moore. They got the monkey off their back. How can you build positivity? Can you get on a winning streak? You know, can you take down the Patriots? Can you go then go take down the Bears? And then suddenly you have this season that is still alive, right? And so I'm happy. It's nothing worse covering a team, and it's a little different for fans because you can tune out, right? If you're just done with the season, you can start doing something else on Sundays. But there's nothing worse than covering a team that is dead in the water by week 5. And you're just like, oh my God, there's so much time left. Like, I at least feel like now there's a glimmer of like, oh, maybe something crazy can happen. And that's what sports is all about, right?
That and the fact that when the losing's going on, Jeff, you know all too well as well from being there, the fact that nobody wants to talk. Nobody's looking to give the press any soundbite, but they really also don't have anything to say. It's like, we're losing. What do you want from me?
Yeah, they all have the same thing to say, right? And like this is. Let's just hear from Spencer Rattler. I do want to hear from Spencer. This is what he had to say about kind of getting that first win, getting that monkey off his back, and kind of rolling things forward.
Oh, much. Feels good, man. Feels good to get that first win. It was a team win. Defense played great. O-line played elite today. I believe we had 0 sacks versus that front. So, that's a great building point, and catch that momentum. Go on a run. Just keep working, keep progressing, and keep doing what we're doing.
Can you walk us through what you saw on the 87-yard touchdown?
Sorry, I didn't cut that clip off fast enough. That's a poor job editing by me. But no, I mean, like that's what it is. Like you just kind of like a proof of concept game, and you move forward. One other clip, and I stole this from the Saints, but I did enjoy it. This is the Kellen Moore post-game kind of speech in the locker room let's see. Where he's kind of handing out game balls, and he gets a game ball too. So let's watch it.
Good job, guys. Nice job. Hey, went into this, okay? I got tired of writing 2 scripts. I wrote 1 script. There's nothing on the back page, okay? There's only 1 for the win. Okay, effort and finish all week, guys. We talked about it all week, guys. Okay, you never know which play is going to make the difference. Okay, 5-0 turnovers. 5-0. Let's start with Cam recovering a football. There we go. So Mario with a nice strip. Jonas with the recovery. Rizzi with a strip. Howard with the touchdown. Kool-Aid, where the hell are you? 2 in there for a big 19-yard completion. Sheed, big-time play, 4 catches, 114 yards, and a touchdown. All right. Spencer Rattler, 20 20 for 30. 225 touchdown. Awesome job, guys.
Kellen Moore got his first win as a Saints head coach.
Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Hey, this hasn't been the easiest month. Your resiliency's shown up each and every week, okay? We got one. Now we carry the momentum. We start stacking these, and let's get ready to roll there. Let's go. D. Cook, break it down. Here we go. Yes, sir.
Keep that momentum going, fellas. This is what we're about. We come out here next week and get this dub again. Be great on 3. 1, 2, 3. Be great.
There you
Happiness and togetherness is a beautiful thing.
go. 1, 2, 3. Be great. No, I always, those videos are always fascinating to me because like you get this kind of exterior facade of how things look and everyone has the same kind of like coach speak answers, but like that's Kellen Moore talking to his team, right? Like that's his actual personality talking to the team. And there's a little bit of goofiness involved. Like, oh, I only wrote on one side. I didn't write a we lost speech. Like, well, yeah, but you would have had to give one if they lost. And you would have just been really awkward about it because you didn't have a script.
Keep chopping wood, get back to work.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I appreciate Kellen in that he is himself. Like, he's not the thing that drove me nuts about Dennis Allen. And I think this really kind of became clear over time is that like his coaching demeanor was him playing the character of head coach, right? It wasn't Dennis Allen as head coach. It was, this is what a head coach is supposed to say. This is how a head coach is supposed to operate. This is what a head coach is supposed to do. It was like you grew up watching your dad do something and that's why you do it that way, but you don't know why. You just do it. Like you don't understand like how you have to, but what buttons you have to press and why that coaching style worked. And I get the impression that Kellen Moore, for better or worse, is himself. And I think that resonates with the players. And it's like an 0-4 start. Like things can get ugly. I haven't gotten the sense at any level from this team that there's like people are kind of jumping ship, that people are letting go of the rope, that they're just like, get me the heck out of here. Like you're going to hear trade rumors, right? Like over the next month until the trade deadline, which I guess it's about a month. Like you're going to hear, oh, Alvin Kamara, trade DeMario Davis, trade Cam Jordan. And I think under certain circumstances, you might have guys being like, yeah, get me the heck out of here. I want to go win a ring. I don't get the impression that that's the vibe for many of those guys. And that's a sign of a locker room that's still bought in. That doesn't mean you're going to win a lot of games, but it does mean that you have a healthy program. And, you know, look at the Lions with Dan Campbell. Like that first season for Dan Campbell was a disaster, at least to start. And, you know, and then, but the program, the buy-in was still there, and you continue to build and you continue to draft well and you continue to get young players developing, and suddenly you have a winning program. So I don't know. I kind of get that vibe from the Saints, and, you know, maybe it's just rose-colored we won a game glasses, and that's going to go away next week against the Patriots. But, you know, the vibes are high right now. I'll say that.
Right. We'll be back in the Dome Sunday, and players will be arguing on the sideline. The cameras will zoom in and be like, I thought you guys were talking about this togetherness and being bought in. So the season really has been crazy. I don't know, like you mentioned in the first segment about the NFL script writers at work. Just this year with some similarities in games from just wacky plays like blocks or, you know, returns, things like that happening in multiple games and weeks. Just overall, I found this season to be wackier than usual. I'm sure that's not the case. It just really felt you've seen some wild stuff early on in this year, and just happy for the Saints. We got this win and finally seeing a wild play down the field where I really don't recall any even explosive big chunk down the field in training camp where you got excited, where Olave or Shaheed's, you know, showcased that the ability to being able to separate. Jeez.
Yeah, you know, there was a few, but I think you're probably right in the sense that I do think like the big, like there was a couple in like the Rams joint practice, but you know, not a lot of people were out there for that. You know, I did see a couple like out in California. A lot of it came out in California because that was when you really started to install stuff, I think. But no, I mean, like the offense has been running the way they installed the offense, which is very conservative and you know, take the shots if they're there, but 3-pointers and layups, right? right? Like, if there's a first down scramble, go take it. And I mean, like, I need people to appreciate 6 touchdowns, 1 interception for a guy that everyone seems to think is not a starting quarterback in the NFL, or at least a lot of people don't think he's got it. Like, that's really good, right? Like, I mean, it's 6-to-1 touchdown interception ratio for anybody. I don't care what you're doing. Like, it's not like they're giving up on the game at halftime. Like, he's got to try to do stuff.
Considering your conditions with the offensive line has not been the greatest either.
It's tough because I think they've been decent in pass pro. I think they've been rough in run blocking, and I think that's what we saw in this game. But just in general, like I know, like, there's so much Spencer Rattler this, Spencer Rattler that. I was talking to, I can't remember who I was. Oh, it might have been Fletcher Mackle from DSU, and it was like, how do you think Spencer Rattler is going to be remembered in 10 years by the Saints fans? And I kind of think, like, I want to say, like, Tyrod Taylor, like that's where I'm at with him right now. Is he's a guy that, because, like, Tyrod Taylor, like, he took the Bills to the playoffs in his as a starter for that team, and he's a player that's just been around, and, like, everyone would be okay with Tyrod Taylor as their starting quarterback, but I'm sorry, as their backup quarterback, but, like, no one would be like, yeah, he's the starter, right? And that's kind of where I am with him right now. But, if you see more, you see the development and you see the athleticism. Like, one thing that I have been surprised by this year is, Spencer's athletic, but he's not going to be the Lamar Jackson or whoever, even a Josh Allen, like, run around and be that guy. His athleticism is a lot closer to Pat Mahomes. And I don't say that to compare him to Pat Mahomes. Just
right.
You watch Pat Mahomes run around and you wouldn't be like, oh, that's the elite of the elite athletes. No, but he's athletic enough and he understands how to use it, and that kind of proprioception of understanding space and where people are around him. Like, there was a lot of plays in that game where the Giants, should have had a negative play on the Saints, and Spencer just kind of juked, and he has that kind of twitchy athleticism that you think he's in trouble and then he just escapes. And I didn't know that he had that in him last year when I was watching him. It didn't seem like he did. Whereas this year, he just kind of seems to understand the space a lot more. And that's, like, there's been a lot of development. And that's really all I'm saying is, I don't know what his ceiling is, but all you can ask a guy to do is to come in year over year and get better and continue to improve and improve and improve and improve and improve. And I think we've seen a lot of improvement from Spencer, and that's been showcased over the first 5 weeks of the season.
Yeah, another thing, you mentioning with just the improvements with Rattler, the calm, collected kind of presence on the field has been, much more evident to me this year, where the fact that obviously he's not taking those sack numbers, but taking whatever is available to him. You mentioned the three-pointers or layups. I know that's been the mantra, or basically what Kellen Moore said to him with this offense. You've seen a lot more of the layups going on, but if I'll take that 6-to-1 ratio all day with touchdowns and interceptions, because we can see how detrimental the takeaways can be for an opposing squad, especially this offense that really still isn't clicking.
No,
they're just not getting the just not big touchdowns, but just touchdowns in general on the board.
No, the way Spencer put it, and I agree, it's like what makes this kind of a positive game is you did leave a lot on the field, and there's a lot more you could have done. And right. So, like, that's a coach's dream, is you won the game. You have a lot of positives to take out of it, but you also have enough negatives that you can go into that meeting and be like, got to do this better, got to do this better.
Imagine if we did this, right?
Exactly. And so, like, they could have hung 40 in that game. And that's why it reminds me of the Bears game from a couple years ago, because they could have hung 40 in that game, but they didn't. They won. And I think DA after the game was like, we're never going to complain about a win and something like that. But
yeah, it's like, you never call a win ugly.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. But I'm okay with an ugly win.
Any win.
I want more ugly wins. Give me as many of your ugly wins as you can handle. But all right, do you want to hit I'm kind of vacillating on this because we spent a lot of time talking about Spencer. And do you want to hit stock up or stock down in the second segment? What do you think?
I say we do down and then exit on the high.
I agree. Let's do that, because we can keep the middle segment shorter and then get long in the final segment, because there is a lot of positives, but there's also a lot of negatives. So I want to talk about it All right. Who Dat? Go Saints. I'm Jeff Nowak. He is Steve Geller. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. Otherwise, we will be right back coming in for the stock down. What went wrong in the Saints win over the Giants? Let's do it. And we are back on this post-win edition of Inside Black and Gold. It's been a while. But we are remembering. It's like riding a bike, getting all excited for stuff again. I'm excited. It's just nice to not have. Yeah, I'm excited to go into that locker room and talk to people about, hey, what did you think about the win? And not why did it happen again?
Why do you guys continue to suck?
Yeah, why are you the worst? What gives you the right? Who do you think you are? That's an Office reference, but okay. Anyway, but let's sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Down.
Let's get into the stock down. So I'll let you start. What is your kind of first stock down item in terms of what went wrong? Because again, it's like it's easy to be like, they won 26-14. They got 5 takeaways, but there were some negatives too. So let's hear it.
Yeah, I think the easiest one to throw the dart at first for stock down is Blake Groupie, the kicker. At least he connected on his extra points, but still 2 misses in this game after we witnessed a clinic basically in training camp, and I don't know what happened with him.
I mean, he did a little bit more than make extra points in this game. He made 4 field goals.
Yeah, but some early kickoffs weren't good either.
Sure. Well, I mean, they were into the end zone. He at least didn't get a penalty on him. But we can't say, at least he made his extra points when he made 4 field goals in the game. So I agree. Stock down. He's in my stock down. But we have to at least be fair. He did make 4 field goals, 1 being from 53 yards. So it wasn't like, oh my God, it's the worst thing that's ever happened. His misses were from 52 and 46. So
misses are more consistent than makes, though. I guess that's the problem.
I mean, that's not true. He's missed 5, right? That's a lot, but he has made 10. So
how many did he
I don't
have
know.
last year?
I'm just gonna be. We can be negative, but we don't have to be hyperbolic at the same time, right? Like that's all I'm saying. Is 10 for 15 is way too far from not being good enough. But saying he's missed more than he's made is just untrue.
Time for Charlie to start warming up that leg.
He has gotten more consistent from the short yardage, which that was the biggest issue for me. It's like if his misses were only from 50 and out, I would be like, okay, dial it in. But you shouldn't. Asking your kicker to kick from 50 and out is really a failure of your offense to move the ball. You expect him to make them, but you don't expect him to be 100%. So a miss is okay, it happens. The problem is you couple that with the misses early in the season, and suddenly you have misses all across the board, right? He did make 4 kicks. Okay, so it's not like he didn't make any kicks. My concern is not that he's missed kicks; it is how he's missed kicks. And in this game, so earlier we saw a kick that sliced to the right, and it's that's not a kick you usually see from him. When he misses, it's usually a straight kick that he started too far right, started too far left, and it just stayed there. But you saw a slice, and it's that's just a miss hit. In this game, he missed one to the left, where it kind of it started down the middle again. It had a draw. And it's we don't see kicks like that from him either. Then his second miss, which is the most concerning miss to me, is the one from 46. And what makes it concerning to me is, okay, if you've ever played golf, sometimes you'll miss and you're I hit it right where I was aiming. My problem is I was aiming over there because I expected it to slice or draw because I don't trust my own contact on the ball. And sometimes it's wow, I actually hit a good shot, but I was aiming to account for the fact that I usually miss. And even though I hit a perfectly straight shot, it went in the water because I wasn't aiming straight down the fairway. And to me, that's a sign of a guy not trusting his contact on the ball. Like he's just lost the contact point. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if maybe he's dealing with an injury. I hope there's an injury that we don't know about. Like genuinely, like that would be a much more palatable explanation for why he's suddenly lost his contact point on the ball. Because that's been the issue. It's not like he can't make these kicks. We saw him make these kicks. Last year, he missed 4 kicks all year.
That's the only thing that makes sense to me, Jeff, after training camp. And I know, I mean, if what we're seeing from Groupie now, then really, you know, the joke or whatever we talk about, like training camp's a lie or it's a mirage. I really don't know what we're watching in practice anymore. I'll just wait till preseason ball and the regular season. Who needs to see stuff at training camp because it really is a lie?
Let's put it this way. If this is the kicker that he was in camp, he wouldn't be the kicker.
Right. Yes.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that is what it is. So it's like, okay, what's going on? Because you know he's a good kicker. Like we saw him make these kicks. Like it's not that he can't make the kicks. Something is happening. And hitting the ball this frequently, because that's like when you talk to Phil Galliano, it's like, well, why did he miss short of the landing zone? He just mishit it. Why did he miss to the right? He just mishit it. Well, okay, why are you mishitting it? And it's like it didn't cost you in this game, so you can kind of gloss over it. It's going to cost you eventually, right? Like it's not hard.
Try and change up the holder? I don't know. I'm looking for anything.
If it was, yeah, I mean, like, trust me, I've looked at all of these operations and I have not come away with like, it's obviously this, right? Like,
okay.
I haven't seen a single issue with a hold or, you know, I think it's probably just a mental thing. And, you know, I don't think you're changing kickers at this stage. It doesn't make sense because what if Charlie comes in and is terrible too? Like that's the thing. Like the idea that Charlie's going to come in and make all these kicks, he's also a wild card. You don't know. But you know, you give the kid, he's a team captain, you give him time to sort it out. And
it's true. I forgot Blake's a captain too.
And you got to give him credit for that tackle. Like I know it's like, oh, he missed a couple kicks.
That part of his game can go in my stock up though. His kicking can go down.
Well, I mean, because that's the type of guy he is the guy that's willing to just lay out and make that tackle. And that's why, you know, I'm a Blake Griffey fan. Like I appreciate him as a player and a person and a member of that locker room. Like I think he's well respected and I think there's a reason for that. But it's a production league. And so I don't know. Like, again, I don't think you're at the end of the rope and you're like, oh, we got to change. But I do think you're like at least starting that conversation of like, dude, you know, we got to get this sorted out or we will have to make a change. And, you know, a couple, especially like I can deal with misses if they happen out in Buffalo, if they happen in Seattle with wind and stuff. You should be making these kicks. You shouldn't have tails to your kicks indoors, especially if that's not how you kick.
That AC is blowing though in the dome, man.
So yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the criticism is a little hyperbolic in terms of like you miss one kick and suddenly it's like you've never made a kick in your life when in reality you made 4 kicks in the game. But I do agree that like you gotta be better.
I think
or you lose your job.
4 out of 5 games he has misses.
Yeah, right, right.
That's way too much.
I know I was okay. So what you're saying is he's been more consistent in terms of having a miss in a game than having a clean game.
Correct.
Okay, that makes more sense because like to say he's missed more consistently than he's made would be factually inaccurate.
Right,
but I can get on board with yes, he's missed in every game, but I think last week I think he was perfect in Buffalo, but he did have a kickoff that was messed up. So you can't even say that was a clean game. So no, I really like Blake Griffey. I think he's a good kicker. I think he's a good kicker. And I don't know, like I'm critical of, you know, let's kind of dovetail that into one of my other big criticisms, which is special teams has not been good enough across the board. Like you can, like Blake Griffey is one part of the equation, but the only reason we didn't come out of that thinking like, what the hell is going on the kickoff return team is because the Giants didn't have to kick off after like the 4th minute of the second quarter because they kicked off to open the game and the Saints got the ball at the 9-yard line. They kicked off again after their first possession and the Saints got the ball at the 20 because for some reason Velus decided to field the ball in play rather than letting it go into the end zone and bounce, which would have gotten the ball at the 35. The next possession, they got the ball at the 16 because, again, just like so, Kendre was the one on the first kick, and he kind of fielded it with his back to the field, and it's like you're fielding the ball going the wrong direction. Let the ball bounce into the end zone. Like the odds of you getting out past the 20 are low. Just take the ball at the 20. Getting the ball at the 9 is not an option, as long as the ball is going to bounce into the end zone, which it was. Because if it can bounce in the field of play and go into the end zone, and you can take a knee and get it at the 20. You can't bring it into the end zone and expect to get it at the 20. And if it bounces and kicks up and you have to field it, fine. That's not what happened. And then on the third one, Velus Jones did the exact same thing. He's fielding it with his back to the field of play. His momentum's taking him into the end zone, and then he has to bring it out. He got it to the 16, so it wasn't the end of the world. He only lost 4 yards on that exchange. But that's just not good decision-making. And like those types of mistakes, like that's part of the reason you were in the hole you were. Because like you can't run your normal offense when you start at the 9. Like you have a script, right? You come out of the gate with a script. Your script is not built to accommodate. We're starting our first play of the game at the 9-yard line. You took the ball. You're like, hey, we're going to take it first. We're going to generate some positivity. We're going to get out to a hot start. Instead, you're at the freaking 9-yard line. And that's so that's on the kick returner. That's whatever. But like you've seen punts blocked or a punt blocked. You've seen a punt return for a touchdown. You've seen a 60-yard kickoff return. Like last week, you ran into the kicker in a situation where you were getting the ball back. And that was I understand why you're going after him, but like at the same time, okay, well, you can go after him and also not get a 15-yard roughing the kicker penalty. So that's a bonehead play. Like there's been way too much lost value in the special teams part of the game. Way, way, way too much. And so you're going to have to figure it out. Hopefully they can kind of sort that out. You're using a lot of younger players in these scenarios, and maybe that's a part of it. But I don't know, man. That unit has been a liability more often than it's been a strength. And then you factor in the kicking to that as well. And that's part of it too. Because keeping the mind state of a kicker right is as big a part of the special teams coach's job as anything. So I don't know. I'm looking at you, Phil. Like this got to be better, or your stint as a special teams coordinator is not going to last very long. Because that's a big stock down for me in a season where you need every ounce of special teams advantage you can get. You're not getting any of it.
Have you gotten to see any kind of replay of Stallbird's almost block punt? Because it seems like it's like a whisker that he missed it by.
I think he did. He got it. He hit it. It just came. I mean, it went to like the 23. Like it's still like he hit it. It just didn't. He didn't get it by enough to knock it back. But he definitely impacted it. Yeah. It was just a situation where the ball still got off. But like Jamie Gillen, who you have to give Jamie Gillen credit because he was the one kicking those kickoffs, the punter, and what the Saints have been unable to do, he was executing like a dream. And that's what made life so difficult on the returners. And they didn't handle that situation well. But Jamie made it tough on him. And in that situation, Jamie's probably trying to pin him at the 2 or the 3. Like they were punted from near midfield, and he only got it to like the 23, which that's because of the impact Stallbird made. So he did get there. So that is a play. And there have been nice individual efforts on special teams. It's the consistency. And like you can have 10 nice special teams plays in a row, but then if you allow a punt return touchdown, we're going to remember that one. That's the big blow up. And last week, it's like, yeah, you had 4 penalties. 3 of them came on special teams. So that's a big stock down for me. Like got to be better in that part of the game.
No doubt about it. And like, sorry, Blake, we like you, but you got to make some kicks, bro.
Yeah, and that was not at the top of my list, but we went into the kicking first, so I just went into that. Like the top of my list, which we have not gotten to yet, is the red zone offense, the red zone efficiency. Because, like, why was this a 12-point game instead of a 22-point game? I got there. It's because you got into the red zone 3 times and you didn't score a touchdown. And there was some negative plays. I appreciated that they incorporated Taysom Hill, but like. The problem with only having him slightly incorporated like you did today is you put him out there in the red zone, and the defense is like, well, he's going to do something, and then you give him the ball on a sweep, and it's like, yeah, they're looking for him. You know, you in order for that play to have worked, you would have had to send him out there and not done it one time, so that, you know, like sending him out there in kind of a weird alignment and then giving him the ball is like, yeah, you send him into the formation and they're all staring at him like, what's he going to do? And then he does something like, oh, I played it. But like, you didn't run the ball very well in the red zone. You had negative plays in the red zone, and you know, you like 3 of Blake's 4 kicks were inside 30 yards, I think, like, or pretty close to it. So like, you can't be settling for field goals in those situations. And I think the number is like 44% or 41%, somewhere in that range, of touchdowns in the red zone, which is like 29th in the NFL. Like if that is the ultimate Achilles heel of the Saints offense right now, because you can move the ball, just can't finish off drives.
It was definitely unfortunate. It was like you said, that it kind of seemed like the G-men were definitely teed up on anything for Taysom was doing, and were just immediately drawn to it. And what was it? 6 carries, -1 yards he ended up with.
Yeah, but that's a little misleading because, you know, a lot of his run plays were, hey, we're 4th and 1, like we need 1. You know, like, so when you get a -3 on a sweep, then it's like, yeah, if you're running plays where you're probably going to get maxed out at 1 or 2 yards, it's hard to get that positive again. And I think he had 3 opportunities to pick up first downs. He got stopped on one of them. And I think that part of the game plan is still limited for him. Like, they can't possibly have installed a lot.
Right. Totally.
Over 3 days. And the interesting thing to me is, even with Taysom, you're still not running the tush push. So he's just not a guy like I think he just feels more comfortable in the shotgun than under center. And you can't run the tush push unless you take it from under center.
Then he gets to get like that Bulls charge going into the pile.
He's really good when you give him kind of, he wants that extra like step to find a hole and hit it. Whereas when it's the tush push, you're tunneling.
Yeah.
You know? So it's not about finding a gap to hit. It's about like, okay, going off off, you know, which side of the center are you going to hit? And then kind of, you know, which I have to imagine they're going to try to use him on eventually. But either way, like, where's Valet? You know, like, I want to see Devon. Like, he wasn't on the injury report this week. And then it was like, he should be in there for every red zone rep. And he's not. He did have a nice first down conversion early in the game on a nice little slant. I think at this point, the issue they're having is like, in order to get him on the field, you need to take Cooks off the field. And Cooks is the veteran, but I don't know, like,
what's he doing too?
Why is Cooks involved in the red zone when you could have the big guy? You know, like, every red zone package should have Devon Valet in it. And so, like, they need to be better in that part of the game, whether it's the play calling, whether it's the execution. I didn't like the play calling in this game in terms of every time they got down to the red zone. Like, did they even throw a pass into the red zone? I don't remember one. I feel like every pass was short of I mean, end zone. Did I say red zone? I feel like every pass was short of the end zone. There was one that he threw over Alvin's head, which was effectively a throwaway. He wasn't trying to get it to Alvin. So, no, I mean, like, that's the ultimate red down from this game in terms of like, okay, we can be positive about a lot, but what can we not be positive about? It's you still not scoring touchdowns in the red zone.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things where yesterday, at least for me, I'm like riding high off the win, and then you're looking over stuff more, you know, the next day, the day after, and it's definitely a lot more critical. And the fact you're like, man, yeah, great, all these turnovers, but it's like, only got 26 points, man. I mean, what are we doing? You're going to, with better teams, if you happen to be that lucky and get that as many takeaways, you got to capitalize on 6.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely. There was a point in this game where the Giants had an 80% chance to win when they went up 14-3, according to ESPN, their next gen stats here. But yeah, my only other stock down, and it's only because like I felt like this should have been an advantage for them and it wasn't, is just the run game in general. You know, it was the first time probably in Kendre Miller's career that both he and Alvin Kamara were active in a game, and he got more rushing attempts than Alvin Kamara. Kendra got 10, Alvin got 8, Spencer ran the ball 6 times, Taysom ran the ball 6 times. And the percentage is if you take Taysom out, like the percentage is a lot better. You add Taysom in and you add 6 runs for -1. That really kind of kills the numbers, but you can't just take Taysom out. Still, like, really wanted them to be more efficient in that part of the game. Kendre was efficient. He ran for 4.1. All 3 of Alvin, Kendre, and Spencer had long runs of exactly 11 yards, which I found kind of quirky. But my critique is, hey, I kind of wish they fed Kendre more. I felt like there was a point in that game where Kendre had the hot hand and they just went back to Alvin because they felt like they had to go back to Alvin.
And you talk about with the running backs there. AK had a not great day with 2 drops, I think, too.
Yeah, he's hasn't been as reliable in the past game as I want him to be. He did have a nice catch over the middle of the field on an option route where he got kind of lit up. And I don't know if he really got a ton of action after that. Kendre kind of took over after that point. That was one of the drives down to the red zone that did not end in a score. Might have been at the end of the first half. But no, like I went in. My positive is that you kept it a very kind of close timeshare tandem, because I think that's what you want. But my negative is, like, man, this was one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL, and you just didn't take advantage of it. Kendre, even like all Kendre's yards, 44 of them came after contact. Or no, I'm sorry, that's not right. Kendre had 41 yards in the game. Oh, he had 44. Okay, so he also had a catch. I must have just wrote that down wrong. But no, most of Kendre's yards came after contact. So the run blocking still isn't good enough. You got to be better. That's my other stock down. Like, I need to take pressure off of the quarterback. And if you can't run the ball, you talk about, hey, we want to be more aggressive downfield. Like, how do you get more aggressive? You got to run the ball, force them to bring bodies down, and then you can hit shots. And they just haven't been able to do that.
You talk about pressure on the quarterback, pass protection. I didn't think Simpkins had the best day inside.
I'll have to look. It's
a lot
tough.
of pressure was coming his way.
I mean, the Giants did get 17 pressures in the game, so it's not like the offensive line was fantastic. You got to be careful because everyone's decided they like Simpkins, and because Ruiz is the enemy number 1. So you're not going to have people agree with you when you have takes like that.
I hear you. I'm sorry.
No, I just haven't got a chance to go through the film yet. It's always tough for me to make like wide opinions on how individual offensive linemen played in these post games, because I don't like doing that when I haven't really gotten a chance to look. And I didn't even watch the TV copy because like when you're watching the TV copy, you're getting kind of instant analysis, instant feedback on it, and you're seeing replays. I'm not getting that. So even by those standards, I'm kind of behind the curve. But no sacks on the day, so it couldn't have been that bad. I think Spencer handled a lot of it himself.
Yeah, for sure.
But no,
like you mentioned, though, all those pressures that they got and no sacks. So I give that more to Spence having that elusiveness.
I agree. There was one play that he was just like dead to rights in the backfield, and he very calmly just kind of like juked one way, went the other way. He and Jackson Dart both have that to their game. And, Jackson Dart, I can't decide whether I think he's going to be good or not. He handled it well when things were going his way, but when things started to fall apart, he fell apart. And that's not a good, he's a rookie. And that's why when we were going in, I was like, all it takes is one game and the shine's going to come off because they're like, wow, he's a rookie. Just like every other rookie. He's not a superhuman. He's a NFL quarterback.
And I'm sorry, Jackson Dart, but I'm sorry things went to hell for you, because we're dealing with the Saints should have been drafting him at number 9.
Yeah, sure. He has that chip on his shoulder because the Saints passed on him, but he doesn't have that same energy for the Giants. One more, and I have to do this, is like stock down. Like, the refs suck, man.
Oh, for sure. Come on.
The hell is that? And it's like, it wasn't even just the Granderson penalty, but like Theo Johnson, like, okay, since when a guy is going to the ground and the ball gets knocked out of his hands, that's a catch now? Since when is that a catch? I watched that same play get overturned. I think it was in the Seahawks-Bucks game. It was like the exact same play. And they were like, well, what a play by the defense. They knocked it out. And it was like, oh, but that doesn't. Oh, anyway. So there was that. There was a few others. I'm losing track, but like the Carl Granderson penalty, it's like I talk about hyperbole and like kind of saying stuff that isn't necessarily true just for effect. And it's like, I genuinely believe that was the softest roughing the passer call in the history of the NFL.
I'm just happy that it's not just our anger over that play.
Yeah.
You look, national media too has latched onto it going, how, why, what's going on here?
It's only because they were playing the Giants. And if it was like the Saints playing like the Jaguars, no one would even watch the game to be paying attention to it. And it would just be us. But this was Kellen after the game talking about it. And I need you to understand, this is the equivalent. This is the closest Kellen will be to going like scorched earth on the officiating. Kellen is like the most low-key, even-keeled guy. This is basically him screaming, do your jobs.
The Carl Granderson sack that was called.
Yeah. I saw a sack. Yeah, it's disappointing just because obviously you're trying to educate your players, and when you don't feel like as a coach you have an answer to help educate your players on how to play the game, that's frustrating because obviously you coach to give those guys the best chance to be successful, and obviously it's going to be a great opportunity for us to learn ultimately whatever the opinion of that play is, because it's a frustrating play when you do so much good, and that's a frustrating one as a coach. You feel like you're helpless in that situation.
How does that process go? Like, do they follow up with you at some point and say this is why something was called? You can use that to teach?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, we'll see if there is. Sometimes you can get an educational point out of it. Sometimes you don't. And so, we'll see if our league provides something for really our whole league to figure that out.
When you guys were down.
Yeah,
you talk about like being an all-pro at keeping emotions in check. I feel that's Kellen Moore. It's like he will not get off that line.
He really is very even-keeled. I think that does serve you well as a head coach in the NFL. Like, yeah, it's not as fun. You don't get as many entertaining bites, but in the scope of like managing an 0-4 start, and they don't call technical fouls in football, but he wouldn't be a guy getting a lot of technical fouls if he was a basketball coach. Like that's the correct way to even just like, oh, he's not going as hard on them as I probably would have liked. He's trying not to get fined, which fine. But like that is the correct answer too. Like what makes that so frustrating as a coach is like, what do you want me to tell him? Right? Like he's gonna come back to the sideline and be like, what did I do wrong? And be like, I don't know. I have no answer for you other than do it the same way next time and hope the refs are better at their jobs. And that's frustrating because, like, it's not just for Carl would be second in the league in sacks right now. Now he's like sixth. That's the difference between him having 5.5 sacks and being second in the NFL through 5 weeks, and having 4.5 sacks and being sixth in the NFL through 5 weeks. And it might not sound like a lot, but like these guys have incentives tied to their contracts and production.
Exactly. You might be costing that man money.
Exactly. And he's getting penalized. Like what the NFL should do, because they can't just award him a sack, is they should credit him for the next fine. Like give him like a coupon where it's like the next time we send you a letter in the mail saying you owe us $15,000 for hitting the quarterback too hard, you can be like, I got the freebie.
You get a free pass this week. You can just lay into Drake May.
Hit him as hard as you freaking want. You're going to get a foul, but you won't get fined. Do it. Go for it, kid. That's what they should do. Yeah. That's the only way it's fair. But no, I mean, it's tough to say stock down the officiating because the refs have sucked for so long and so consistently. Not everyone is as bad as every other one. Like that Kool-Aid McKinstry PI at the beginning of the game. Get the frig out of here. That's not a pass interference. Like, come on. He contacted the ball like 3 yards before it got to the receiver. Like the receiver never had a chance to catch the ball because he played it.
Yeah,
and
but
you're calling that pass interference.
Bear was trying to tell me like he kind of had the arm hooked around him, but I didn't see that.
He did, but like that did not affect the play, right? Like if you make a play on the ball, what does that have to do with anything? Because the receiver, maybe that would have affected his ability to catch the ball if the ball got to him, but the ball never got to him. So like, and that is to say like, okay, are you calling that the same way all game? No.
Right.
I saw a play exactly like that didn't get called in the Giants. So it's like, if you're going to call soft penalty, like that's the thing. You can call soft penalties, but this better be a flag-ridden game.
But we better get hard.
You can't decide halfway through the first quarter that's like, oh, we don't want to throw 30 penalties today. So we called that earlier. It's like a baseball umpire. Like okay, you can give him that strike on the outside, but you can't decide halfway through the game that that's not a strike anymore, or in between innings that that's not a strike anymore. Like, your zone has to be consistent. As long as it's consistent, I don't care, because the pitcher can at least adjust for it. If you're going to call it one way for one play and then not the same way in the next play, that's bad refereeing, and that's what we had. Like, the reason they called that penalty on Carl was because they felt bad for Jackson. They felt bad. Like, the block was so bad, and Andrew Thomas actually pushed Carl, so that's why it had more momentum. And they just were like, "Oh, he got hit pretty hard. We better give him a penalty here." Anyway, so that's it. You got any more stock down before we move into the nice things?
No, I think we've bitched enough about a win right now. We can move on.
This is true. We have done that. But all right. Again, we've talked like an hour. We haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet. So I appreciate it. This is why I usually do the good stuff first after wins, because it makes it sound like we're being super negative. So maybe next time, assuming there's a next time, we can.
I don't know. I'm just glad we got rid of the BS, and now we can go into the fun as we send folks out on a high.
Sure, that's good.
We keep them locked in too. They can't tune out because they're like, they got to be talking about good stuff eventually.
Okay, yeah. Well, we'll go with that. That was the plan all along. But all right, Who Dat, go Saints. We will be right back. This is Inside Black and Gold. Stick around.
First and 10. Saints trail 14-6, 5:27. Ball at the 13, moving left to right. Rattler under center, play action. Stands in the middle, throws it deep, and he's got a wide open Rashid Shaheed on explosive play. 30, 20, 15. See you later. Bye. No flags. Touchdown. Saints 87 yards. Woo. Well, where have you been, my friend?
87 yards. That's a long way. And we're back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak alongside Steve Geller. We went through the stock down. Let's go through the stock up, and you heard it. Rashid Shaheed, which is such a fun name to say all stretched out like that. Like, that's why it's such a great elite deep threat name, because the play goes on for so long that you can really just stretch it out. You know, if it was like a 12-yard out, you'd be like, Rashid Shaheed, caught it, move on. You're like, no, you got that whole like Rashid Shaheed. Anyway.
And you can rhyme it with speed, which is just perfect too.
It's just a great name, man. It's just a great fast guy name, and he is a fast guy, you know. And that's I'd been starting to wonder, like, did he maybe lose some of that juice? No, because he came off the knee injury. Like, everyone seems to forget that, like, yeah, Taysom Hill, Foster Moreau, they're coming back from the knee injury, which great, you know. Rashid Shaheed also had a pretty significant knee injury. He had meniscus surgery. He had to come back. He had to rehab. You know, he put on some extra weight, bulked up a little bit, but it's like, okay, is the speed still there? And it's sometimes it's tough to gauge, like, because we don't watch him closely to say, like, oh, is he running 21.2 miles an hour instead of 21.7? Like, because that's a difference, right? Now he got up to that 21.7 miles per hour on that one, and it didn't even look like he was running fast. And here's Spencer talking about, you know, what that play kind of meant and how it kind of developed.
Yeah, you know, we had that play dialed up, knew what we were going to call going into that series. I told Shee, just make that safety turn, and he had him spin. That corner bit down, and just great protection, put the ball up, and he took it to the house. It was a good feeling.
When you let go of that, is the biggest mission to, like, not overthrow it? You know what I mean? Like, because you see him coming free, it seems like you drop kind of a soft pass to him. Is that the biggest obstacle to not overthrow it?
Yeah, you just put it to a spot. It's hard to overthrow him. You know, I put it towards that sideline so we can run under it, and connected really well. Repped it throughout practice, you know, since training camp. So it's good good for it to come to life, and was a play we needed in the game to bring some momentum, and that definitely turned some things around.
You guys have been chasing that explosive play the last 4 weeks. What does it feel like to probably have that in your bag?
Yeah, I mean, that was, again, a defense that presented an opportunity for those shots. So we had it dialed up this game. Could have connected on a few more, I think, but it was good to get that one. You could see what one big play can do for a game. There was a few others, but, overall, pleased with it. We got to finish in the red zone. Thought we were really good on third down today, but still got to finish in the red zone a little better.
Is that the first time you
Yeah,
I feel like we haven't seen that, Jeff, since Carr going deep to Valdez Scantling.
Say that again, sir.
No, I was just saying, I feel like we haven't seen a deep play like that since Carr to Scantling.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's hard to remember last year whether Spencer found Rashid deep at all. I know. Well, actually, it's not that hard to remember because he wasn't there. So yeah, you're probably right. Because I don't think Spencer found MVS on any of those deep balls late in the year. So yeah, I mean, it was the longest pass play of Spencer Rattler's career. It was the longest, like all these long touchdowns for Rashid, right? That's the longest touchdown of his career, 87 yards. It was the longest touchdown for the Saints since Brandon Cooks, I think it was 2015. It was that week 1 game against the Raiders. And it was a 98-yard touchdown to Brandon Cooks, which is like 98 yards is crazy. But it was amazing how quickly he covered 87 yards.
Yeah.
Like, the play was like over like that. And it's like, he ran 87 yards. But that's what happens when you run 21.75 miles an hour, which is the speed he was recorded at. It was the fastest speed of any ball carrier in week 5. And I think it was the 5th fastest speed of any ball carrier this season. And I don't know about you, but like you watch that highlight, it didn't look like me like he was like going all out. He's so smooth the way he runs. And what I agree with Spencer Rattler there is like, yeah, so the play is the play. Like he worked. Like Tyler Newbin got turned around, never had a chance. But like you see like the impact that one play like that. You don't need 5 of those in a game. One play like that, like because remember, at the point that happened, the Saints had just been pinned back at their own 13-yard line. The Giants were up 14-6. The Saints had settled for 2 field goals to that point in the game. Right? They didn't have positivity. The Giants were dominating, right? If the Saints go 3 and out there and give it back to the Giants and they go in and score a touchdown, you're down 21-3 at halftime or something like that. The Giants get the ball back after halftime. Like that game goes completely differently. But instead, and it's funny because like right before that drive, I remember tweeting like, this would be a good time for like a long drive, half killing touchdown drive because there was like 5.5 minutes left. And instead, on the first play, you get all 87 and you score a touchdown. It's like, oh, that's another way. And that cut it to 14-13. The crowd, which had been really kind of like, oh, here we go again. Then they got all the way into it. The Giants fans shut the hell up because they're like, oh, here we go again. And from that point on, the Giants did nothing but turn the ball over and turn it over on downs. Like that was the game. And that's cool to me. Like that's like, that was the point where the switch flipped and suddenly you're winning this game. And, Spencer did talk about like, okay, the cool thing was how the crowd reacted. Cause it's just like, it's been so long since I can remember the crowd being that into a game. And like, you look around and you're like, oh, I got people are dancing. Like, this is what it's supposed to be like in here.
Yeah. It's nice to have fun.
Yeah. It was nice to look around and see everybody dancing and turning up, and that was our message today. Let's put on for the home crowd. Let's go out there, make a statement and get a big win. And we needed a win. We needed those vibes, and it's definitely a much better feeling for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I've said this a few times, and it does seem like they are delivering on this to some extent. It's like the only thing that happens this season is you turn the Superdome back into a place that other teams don't want to go play. Then that's a win.
Right.
Because that's what it used to be, man. Like, and not always, but like at least in the last like decade leading up to this, it was like, yeah, going to the Superdome, you're expecting to lose. Right. Like I remember growing up a Giants fan. Like I remember watching, I vividly, I was in college. It was a Monday night game. And the Giants went to the Superdome, and I remember going to the bar to watch it. And Like I was like excited, and then by the end of the first quarter, I was like, I don't have a chance to win this game. It's over. Like this is just, this environment is just not gonna. They're not gonna win here. They're not gonna win in that building, and it just hasn't felt that way for a few years. Like that's the greatest sin of the Dennis Allen era. Of all the things that went wrong, it is turning the Superdome from a place that no one wants to go and play to the place that other fan bases are like, let's go take that building over because I kind of want to spend the weekend in New Orleans anyway, and we're probably going to win.
You mentioned
Giants fans, these Giants fans, the team that has lost the most games over the last decade in the NFL, they were like, yeah, we could take that building over. Maybe they'll think twice about it next time.
Yeah, you mentioned DA, and the biggest crime of, his era for me was definitely that home game against Atlanta where Jameis runs it in instead of taking the knee, and just instead of, being the coach, threw guys under the bus, which wasn't ideal.
Yeah, right. And so, yeah, I mean, like that was cool. I enjoyed that, and again, it's not even stock up on big plays as much as it's stock up on why big plays are so important. Like why that explosive play is so valuable.
Well, too, he's like, that's someone in training camp, Shaheed, we're all raving about as well. And it's like, it just hadn't translated to the big numbers we expected coming the regular season.
Yeah, no, and it's like, and because he's capable of that, and he's capable of that, right? That's what makes it frustrating. Is it's like we know it's there. It's not like he's a lot. Again, that's why you start to wonder: has he lost his step? Maybe he's just not creating the separation. Now you saw it on that play, and what Rashid does as well as anyone I've ever seen is track the ball in the air, and it makes life so much easier on the quarterback because all you have to do is, like Spencer said, it's like he's a tough guy to overthrow. The mistake, and Doug Mouton asked this question, and it's like the mistake. He was like, "Is the mistake overthrowing him?" Like, no. The mistake is underthrowing him because he's almost impossible to overthrow. Because the further you put it out there, he's just going to match and get it. And he just has this ability to track the ball in the air, adjust at full speed, and then just collect it. Like, have you ever seen him drop one of those? Seriously.
Knock on
I don't
wood.
know if well, like you see guys miss, like look at Darius Slayton in that game, right? Like he had a wide open play that he just couldn't catch. And like what makes Rashid so valuable is like, not only can he get there and he has the speed to create that play and that matchup, but like I can't recall a play where he just kind of like butterfingers it, like, and that's because he's so effective at getting the ball where he needs it. It's that punt returner ability, right? Like the ball's just coming down and he knows exactly how to, like the one play he did bobble was a punt return against the Falcons. That's like the one time I can remember him doing that. And he's made mistakes over the middle of the field and stuff like that. But like, he's so solid on those plays that it makes it like, you gotta find ways to give him chances. Cause like, even in Chris Olave, like they gave Chris Olave a shot against Paulson Adebo on a double move, and it doesn't go in the books as a Chris Olave play, but you force a 40-yard pass interference. That's like, what are the benefits of going deep and forcing DBs to actually play? It's you put pressure on them, they make mistakes, you benefit. Because you almost never see those plays intercepted, and when you do, it's like, okay, but they intercepted it 40 yards down the field is basically a punt. So like, there's not a lot of downside. Like the danger of throwing those balls is really not that extreme as long as you're making good decisions and giving it to a guy in one-on-one coverage and not where a safety can come over the top and catch it and run. So
just it was definitely really nice to just have there were a few highs in this game where the dome you felt was, you're getting that feeling back. And that was definitely one of them. When you have that long of a play for a score, and there's certain just things that get folks excited. You see Rashid just barreling down the field he wasn't getting touched, and you knew it. So the place was just lit.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was like when he caught that, it is funny because you could see him out there and he caught it, and like there was a guy reasonably close to him, but you're like, he's not getting caught. He's gone. And he's so smooth. It's just that he's a track runner at heart. Yeah. And like, that's just, he has that ability. So let's keep going forward. My other one is on the other side of the ball, the other big plays that were made. And it's basically, and it's like, I don't want to single anybody out, but it's like Justin Reed went out on the first possession. After the first possession of that game, Jordan Howden came in, and you had a secondary that was Jonas Anker, rookie, safety. Jordan Howden, third-year safety, who's basically the old guy in this scenario. Kool-Aid McKinstry, outside corner, second year. Quincy Riley, outside corner, rookie. That's your secondary. You did not have a single pass interference. You did not have a single defensive holding penalty. You did not have a single busted coverage where a guy was running free. You know, Terrell Burgess made a play on that flea flicker, which, you know, yeah, that could have caught you, but it didn't. And I thought that was really impressive.
Pretty good too.
Alante, yeah, and he's in the slot, so fourth year guy, so he's the old guy, yes, but
yeah,
you know, I just like that shell, right? You talk about the shell, you know, the corners and the safeties, like that was impressive to me. And you know, this season is about a lot of things. One of them is seeing what you got in young players. Jordan Howden didn't make a play per se, but he did scoop up the ball and run 86 yards, which was nice. And you know, he made some nice plays. He made some nice tackles. That group was hitting. I got to talk to Jordan walking off the field, so let's listen to it. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Standing here with Saints safety Jordan Howden. You know, it's been a long time coming. 4 weeks, no wins, finally, just to get that number in the win column. What is that feeling? What does that mean for y'all right now?
You know, nobody really likes, you know, losing or whatever, but we always just stay strong, you know, just keep going, looking for the next week. You know, every week we preach, you know, forget about the week past. We just go out there and just dominate, play fast, play physical, and just play us.
You know, in the last 6 possessions of this game were turnovers for the Giants. 3 fumbles, 2 interceptions, and a turnover on downs. You know, what is that? What went into that? The first 2 possessions were touchdowns. You came into the game, like, what changed?
You know, we always, every week it's always the ball. You know, the ball is the most important thing on the field. So, you know, in practice every day, we always doing a takeaway drill. You preach it, you talk it, and you do it. And, you know, we come out here, like I said, we just run to the ball, and then good things happen when you're on the ball. So,
you know, not often you have to run 86 yards to finish a play. What was going through your mind there? Was it just don't let an offensive lineman tackle me?
It was don't get caught at all, you know. First career touchdown in the pros, so definitely needed that. And like I said, good things happen when you're on the ball.
All right, man. Well, congrats. Appreciate it. So if you're wondering what was happening at the end of that interview, it was Justin Reed came up from behind him and started like tackling him basically because he was so excited. And so a couple things. One, it's a good sign. Like Justin Reed came out of the tunnel along with Julian Blackmon in a sling and like immediately to come celebrate with the team after the game. So it's a good sign that, you know, Justin was dealing with a concussion, but nothing major. Because if it was major, they wouldn't have allowed him to go back into that sensory heavy environment, right? Because they're very strict about like those protocols. So it was probably more of a precautionary thing to keep him out. So good sign that he should be able to get back, if not next week, then the week after. But you know, it's also like Justin is kind of I asked Jordan about this, like Justin's kind of like the proud dad in that room because he's like the old guy with this kind of group of young guys. And through not intentionally, this team is suddenly super young in the secondary. And like they didn't draw it up that way. Like they went into the season with Justin Reed and Julian Blackmon and Ike Adam. And then you had, Alante and Kool-Aid as the young guys. But like those guys have been quickly replaced. And not because you wanted to, because you had to, but they've delivered. And that's really nice to see. Like you look at positives, it's a 1-4 start, but what are the positives? That's the group that you're going to rely on for years to come, or at least the one you imagine you're going to rely on for years to come.
I'll be a little bit of a devil's advocate here, or is it just how bad the Giants wide receiving core is?
It's definitely part of it. Jalen Hyatt had nothing. And I'm starting to understand why he doesn't catch passes because he was getting locked up by Quincy Riley. And like that guy's supposed to be super fast, but like Quincy was stride for stride with him. You know, I think Jonas covered him one time. Like, yeah, that's embarrassing for him. Darius Slayton did not deliver. Wan'Dale Robinson was basically absent. Like it was the tight ends. Once the Saints figured out how to cover the tight ends, the Giants
wrap it up, B. Right.
Got to give Kool-Aid credit. First 2 career interceptions. I have to be a little critical of that first one because it was 4th down and he intercepted the ball 30 yards downfield. And if you just knock it down, you save your team 25 yards. But I cannot begrudge a guy who has never had an interception in the NFL catching the ball. Right? Like I
gotta imagine that's hard in the moment too. And I know you're a pro, blah, 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 but yeah, the ball's coming. I intercepted. I'm not thinking if I just drop it on 3rd down, we get better field position. 4th down, we get better field position.
If he was Paulson Adebo last year and he's had like 12 career interceptions, and it's like, okay, this is the first career interception. Like, I'm going to catch this ball. And that just happened to be the case that he had another one like 5 minutes later.
The takeaway God shined upon him, and they're like, you get another one.
Yeah, and you know, like the thing is, like, you know, I know Bobby was really negative on Kool-Aid last week. He gave him his nickname back this week, which is nice of him to do. And I think like the fault people make in analyzing young players is like if they make a bad play, they had a bad game, right? Whereas like it is very much possible and almost always the case where there's good and bad in a game, right? So if a guy has 3 good plays and then 1 bad play, all we remember is the bad play. Because as a cornerback, when you have perfect coverage, they don't throw the ball at you. So, like, that's my only criticism. Like, yes, okay, if you're going to be hypercritical of Kool-Aid on the negative plays, well, you also have to look for the positive plays, which are there too. You know, and so it was good to see him make big-time positive plays in this game because that touchdown to Theo Johnson, at least the second one, like, he was in coverage. He didn't make the play. And I'm sure if you go back to Twitter and timestamp it around that time, it was like, there we go again. Kool-Aid can't do it. And then by the end of the game, everyone was like, wow, Kool-Aid, great job. So I don't know. Like, I wish the instant reaction, and that's just part of it. Like, there's always going to be that instant reaction, but he's a second-year pro kind of finding his way at the NFL level. Like, yes, the bad plays are there, but then you also have some really nice plays. So we'll see how it goes. I think this was a confidence builder for him. And honestly, it's his whole defense.
Yes.
Because you didn't get a ton of pressure. It was all the secondary covering. So
well, there was someone we haven't done in stock up yet that was getting pressure. Brazil. There was someone getting pressure.
Yeah, no, yeah. Brazil deserves credit. He had a couple really nice plays. He had like a brutal spin move.
I know. Like, wow.
When he hits that spin and it lands and like, oh man, it's so smooth. Like 300-pound guys aren't supposed to move that way. And like what we're learning about Brazil is like, yes, I don't know if he's ever going to be a truly elite 3-down defensive tackle because I just don't know if he's ever going to be a truly elite run player.
But it was better this game, the run D.
Yeah, I mean, he can be an okay run player. It's never going to be like his calling card, but that's okay as long as you are elite as a pass rusher. Like, if you're not going to be that elite run stuffer, I need you to show up early all the time in the pass rush game. And he was the guy in this game that shut down a couple Giants drives. Like, he didn't have a sack, but like Jackson Dart was kind of living in shotgun. It's tough to get sacks on a guy in shotgun because like there was a couple plays. It's like, yeah, he blew him up. He just got the ball out to a check down. He's not getting 8 yards. Like, you don't get a sack, but they also don't get the first down. So you got to live with that. And that's the frustrating thing as a pass rusher because he's like, I did everything right. I killed that play, but I don't get the stat. You might get a pressure or a hurry, but no one really cares about that. If all you have are 27 pressures and no sack, everyone's going to be like, but you don't get it done. You know? So, but no, he had a good game. I was impressed with him in this game. Yeah, and he had a pass deflection, which he's really good at.
No, we need that right now. We've been harping on the lack of a pass rush at all and just patiently waiting for Chase Young to reappear from his retreat somewhere. I don't know.
It's hibernation.
Yeah.
He is on the sideline. He's there. Yeah. So yeah, we mentioned Terrell Burgess at the top. That's a really nice play by him at a really critical point in the game to break up that flea flicker. And that's my last one is just Taysom Hill's role, right? Like my big question going in was how excited is Kellen Moore about Taysom Hill's role? Like, does he intend to use him in that Swiss Army knife fashion, or is it just going to be like he's here, let's figure it out? And I think that game told you, like, he's very excited to use Taysom Hill in a lot of different ways because that's going to be probably the most limited Taysom Hill is. Three days of practice, like limited game planning. And he was in there. I don't know what the snap count is, but like he was on the first drive.
I was definitely surprised how much he was used. I was like, all right, might seem a play or two. That's about it.
Yeah. And not only that, like he had him throwing a pass.
Right.
You had him on a
he did a little of everything, right?
You did a little of everything. You did a little of everything that you can expect. And like, there's just, and I think Kellen is going to learn this as he goes. And I don't know if you call plays based on what you want, getting the crowd excited, but there is something to be said for every time Taysom Hill touches the ball, the crowd goes nuts.
Crowd pleaser.
I mean, like that 19-yard pass to Juwan Johnson, like I just had this like shit-eating grin on my face because it's like, I missed that. That's so much fun when it happens. And it was a big play. It was a third down. And it's like impossible to defend when he makes a good throw. Because how do you defend that? How? Like you have to load up to stop him, and then suddenly he just throws it over your head. And like Taysom, the beauty of Taysom Hill at this point in his career is there's no ego whatsoever. He's just like, what do you want me to do? I'll do it. Because he's just happy to have a job.
Right. And with Taysom, it's definitely stock up with mojo for the team. He just overall has this effect over everyone.
He's just so much fun. And for a team that's not a lot of fun, let's be real, he just adds this element of like, what's he going to do? You know what? And I do think that you have to be like the whole run him into the ground thing. I don't think that's a smart thing to do.
Well, we did already. We did it.
We tried that. It didn't work. But I want to use him in premium situations, and that short yardage where I can avoid having Spencer Rattler have to bang his head against the wall. Like that's a win for me. Like if that's all he does, he's just short yardage wildcat back who every now and then can like pull it back and hit somebody over the top because they're, like that's how Sean Payton used him. And I think that's the best way to deploy him. I don't need him to be a full-time tight end.
No, you mentioned run him into the ground, and I even said it, Bobby, at the time. I'm like, I don't like that terminology. I said maximize his versatility.
Right. And I just he's a legend. Genuinely. Like he's a living Saints legend. Like you could watch the NFL for 50 years and you will not see another player with the type of impact that Taysom Hill has on a game.
Like GOAT gets overused, so does the term unicorn, but Taysom is a unicorn. And
what I appreciate about it so much is that if you go around these other fan bases the week before they play the Saints, they're all like, oh, Taysom Hill. And then he goes out there and does something that's, you got to be like, what the hell? How can we not defend Taysom Hill? And then it's like, I told you.
Right.
Like, you think the Saints had to play, if the Browns had to come in this year and they're like, Taysom, God damn it, Taysom. The Seahawks, like, name the players on the Saints offense that have single-handedly won the Saints games from a non-quarterback position, and I will name you one player, and he's done it multiple times.
I think Ross Jackson had a crazy stat about when games that Taysom plays versus not.
Yeah, and you add a win to it.
Yeah, exactly, right.
This week. Anyway, so no, I'm excited about that because I was kind of skeptical that he would get back on the field, that he would have that type of role, but we're gonna have it. That Swiss Army knife is still there, and
hope the knee's feeling all right today because he finally got some contact in a real game.
Yeah. This is an important week for him and Foster to know that they are going to have juice for the rest of the way because that recovery is that can't be easy. That first football game after a long time out, they didn't get preseason, they didn't get live tackling in camp. Like that was their first taste of it. So yeah. And Foster, like I don't want to skate over Foster. Like he's going to have an important role on this team too. And it was good to see him back out there as well because he'll be an important kind of foil for Juwan Johnson and even Jack Stoll. Miliki Madaval got cut again, which poor guy.
I know he's been around Morrow for that leadership, but man, oh man, really, I feel like he's a dude that post his career will end up in the media somewhere. He's a great speaker and I think a motivator.
Yeah, and he's funny.
Right.
Like he's actually entertaining. It's like Drew is a great speaker and a motivator, and he's kind of boring. Like that's the Achilles heel of Drew is he's a robot in a football sense, and that was a good thing as a player. As a commentator, it doesn't land as well. But Foster is not that way. Foster is entertaining whether he's on the field or not. And so anything else? Any other stock up items before we close this thing out here?
I'm trying to think. You basically touched on everybody in that second there. I thought, I'll give a shout out specifically on the O-line. And I know it's another guy kind of like DeMario you don't really think of too much. I felt like Eric McCoy had a great game managing everything too, especially with so much uncertainty around him and managing all the pressures I didn't realize were that much. I knew the Giants were bringing the heat, but when you throw out those numbers too, just McCoy keeping everything calm, cool, and collected for them as well, because it could have gotten very ugly against the Giants.
Yeah, I think you're correct in that Eric is very similar to DeMario in the scope of these segments that we do, because my stock on him is already so high that he can have a great game, and I never mention him because I expect it out of him. But I did talk to Eric after the game, and he's always a guy that is going to give you that insight, and I appreciate it. And he'll be like, hey, we need to run the ball better. We need to. There's a lot of things we need to do better, but he's just excited about winning a game. Like, Eric is funny because he's one of the few guys in this locker room that remembers what it was like when this team was rip roaring and playing well. And there's a few of them, right? Like Cam Jordan, DeMario, like on the defense, Taysom on offense, but there's not as many as there used to be. And so, he's in a weird spot, but that's why he's a leader, because you need him to remind people. But yeah, so I agree with that. But anyway, all right. Who dat? Go Saints. That's a win. That's one win. You're 1-4. Now let's make it 2-4 and maybe even 3-4. And that's how a winning streak works.
They're going to be sad that they flexed us to a noon kickoff, man. They're going to be like, man, I wish I had Drake May and Spencer Rattler.
They'll never forgive themselves for missing out on that appointment viewing, the Drake and the Spence.
Hey, man.
May we get another win.
Who dat?
Who dat? Peace. All right. Secret mailbag edition time. You ready? We got about 20-25 minutes before Kellen.
All right. Welcome back into Inside Black and Gold. Steve Geller, Nowak, doing our live mailbag edition. We get to all you Who Dat's questions out there for us. Know there's that lot of positive vibe for this team right now. So, Jeff, let's dive right into them. What we got?
Yeah. Let's go. We got people being nice. Chris P's always here. He says hit the like button. I always appreciate likes. Likes are fun. Subscribe, hit the bell. That bell, you go ding dong and hit the subscribe button. That's cool too. So
we like wins.
Always appreciate that. Jerry G says that pass from Rattler to Shaheed was chef's kiss. That was a bad word. There you go. That's what it was supposed to be. And let's go to 992 RAS. They look better with the young safeties out there, and our boy Kool-Aid made up for early on in the game. I don't know about better. I mean, I think the Saints figured out what the Giants were trying to do. Like, the Giants had a plan, and it was not a very complicated plan, right? Like, they were peppering the tight ends. The Saints didn't cover them early in the game. You took those away. You took that away, and everything got a little more difficult, and the Giants receivers couldn't separate. I need to go back and see exactly how they were deploying the safeties. I'm curious. Cam Scadaboo did break a bunch of tackles, and the tackling wasn't perfect. So we'll have to see, but you want to get Justin Reed back is my larger take on that. Like, I really thought Jordan Howden did a good job in relief. I've been tough on Jordan. I think, it was telling that when the situation came up and you needed to replace Julian Blackmon, that they went with the rookie over the third-year guy in Jordan Howden. And, not everyone would have handled that pretty well. I felt like he did. And so to get in there and play the way he did, that's a good thing. But you still want Justin Reed back. Like, as much as it's nice to have these young players, I don't want all young players, because there will inevitably be, like, there was someone being ugly in the comments, being like, oh, if he played a good team, he would have lost by 20. And it's like, I don't know if we have to frame it that way, but at the same time, like, yeah, I don't want to send, if this was the Bills matchup, I would have been a lot more nervous sending 4, rookie contract DBs out there to play Josh Allen. So like, there's matchups that I don't want to have to do that in, but it's good to know you can in a pinch.
I will say for 99 Raz there, at least we saw now back-to-back games from Jonas Sanker. You're like, all right, I think we got a player here.
Oh, I agree with that. Like, every week, I keep waiting for Jonas to look like a rookie. He just doesn't. And I asked Quincy after the games, like, does he just play like an old dude? Like, does he just seem like an older soul? Like, even talking to him, he doesn't come off as a young. Like, you talk to Quincy, and you're like aware, like, he's a young guy. Kool-Aid, you hear Kool-Aid talk, and I always forget how Southern Kool-Aid is. that like deep Southern accent. He's from Alabama. And it's like you're very aware you're talking to a young guy, like not an immature guy, but just like a younger player. He's not kind of grown into his adult body yet. And he hasn't done 100 of these interviews just to know how to sound. And, but Jonas just kind of comes off as that older player. So, no, I mean, I think you talk, it feels like it's been a while since the Saints have really found kind of a day 2 gem. And like second round picks, like you need second round picks to hit. When a second round pick doesn't hit, it's a whiff. A third round pick, if you get a starter or like a guy who develops into a starter over the course of his rookie contract, that's a win. If you get a guy who's a starter as a rookie, that's a steal. And right now it feels like that's what the Saints have. And they just like when were the Saints really kind of humming? When they were pulling Teron Armstead out of the third round and Calvin Kamara and Marcus Williams was a second rounder, but Trey Hendrickson and all these guys in the third round, like get back to that. And suddenly this team is going to feel like it has a lot more talent. All right. MB says the Patriots are scary and they found their QB. Bad timing for us. Yeah, Steve, you watched part of that game. What were your thoughts on Drake May? I think the Saints are going to have their hands full next week.
Yeah, I saw a replay definitely too where he hits the receiver rolling to his right and just throws a perfect dart down the field to him. With the coach, Vrabel leading the way over there, they're going to be a tough squad coming in. And I'm just still not sold totally on the weapons at wide receiver. So I think that, there's nothing that's really that concerning. I know Diggs has had back-to-back, I think, good games for them, but their receiving core isn't anything that's going to, make me duck and cry at all.
No. And, Stefan Diggs, the Saints have the luxury of not being the Bills and not being like Stefan Diggs is very much a revenge game guy. Like,
yeah, right.
Guys will play it off like, it's whatever. It is what it is. Stefan Diggs, like you talk about having a game circled on your calendar. Like, I don't think it's ever been more clear that you were getting like full 100% effort out of a guy than that game last night. And that's not to say Stefan Diggs isn't going to play hard against the Saints, but whatever it takes to get that extra 10% out of a guy, that's not the matchup you're gonna pull it out of somebody. But like Stefan, I do think he's that guy that's like, I don't want to give a guy like him bulletin board material. Like he's the last guy I want with that extra gear because he has it to hit. He doesn't always play like that. But he did in that game. And so that's why, I think you're probably not going to see that version of the Bills offense or the Patriots offense. But what Drake May does really well is extend plays to the sideline and find people on the run. And, that's a young player thing. Like you see that a lot with young players as they get kind of antsy in the pocket. He can make plays from the pocket too. But like, that's what the Saints are going to have to be aware of is he's like Jackson Dart was constantly looking to step up and run. Drake seems more inclined to extend parallel, which is a much more veteran way to play, is to extend behind the line of scrimmage so you can be a passer longer. And that's what Josh Allen does. That's what makes Josh Allen such a good quarterback is he can run, but he doesn't choose to run until it's at its most effective. And so that's tough to handle. I don't think the Bills are a good defense. I think the Bills are a Super Bowl caliber offense and a wild card caliber defense. And Saints fans should be able to see that immediately. Like we watched that play out year after year after year with Drew. It's why you never got back to the Super Bowl because you just didn't have the juice on the defensive side of the ball to take advantage of when Drew was at his peak. And when Drew started to fall off a little bit and kind of came down to like regular human quarterbacking levels, the defense was elite, but you just never kind of got that, at least after 2009, 2010. So 2018, you should have got to the Super Bowl. I think that was the closest where you were at that level. But right now there's an imbalance with the Bills and very much on defense. So I think the Bills are gettable. and they kind of play with their food a lot, and it bit him in that game.
Well, for the Pats to go in there too and take them down in Buffalo is impressive. And
question.
and one person I should clarify that because it'll end up burning me that I was like, I'm not worried about any of the New England's receivers, but they do have a pretty big boy at tight end and Hunter Henry. That's a problem.
Hunter Henry, who Tom Brady told Gronk is the best tight end in Patriots history, which I thought was funny.
No, he didn't really.
Yeah, he was joking with him.
Poking the bear. I got you.
It was like the post-game show, and he was just like, yeah, Hunter Henry, the best tight end in Patriots history. And Gronk is over there just like, did you see the clip of him trying to pronounce Emeka Egbuka?
Yes, that was hilarious.
It's like
Emeka
Bag Boy, egg ball out, and what?
Yeah, it was rough.
Egbuka. Just pretend the G's not there. It's not that hard. Gronk is so funny.
Just say double E.
He's such like a I don't even know, like in a positive way. Like he seems
he's a meathead.
Harmless. He's just like this big dumb brute that means like but he's like I don't get the sense that he's like a problematic version of that. As difficult as it is to not be a problematic version of that, I don't think he is. I think genuinely
I feel like he's just a big kid playing ball.
Exactly. And it's endearing. But he doesn't he does not need to be on those shows. He's terrible on those shows. Like
I guess people like the personality and the smile that he's got, and he's just being silly.
I guess, but he's so bad. Either way. Let's continue. Respect at Heart says it's been sick how people been just saying we got the Patriots like they some soft ass team. We the ones with the soft ass team. Our defense is bad. I mean, I don't know. That seems kind of harsh. I don't know if soft ass defense is necessarily fair, but I'm okay with a defense that gets burnt at times as long as you're opportunistic and take the ball away, right? And you've missed opportunities in games prior to this. You took advantage of them all in that game. So I don't know.
I don't think
the Saints can beat the Patriots.
Honestly, Jeff, and I don't think there's anybody in Saints land thinking that this team has any game locked up.
No, I thought the Giants could have come back in that game the entire second half. They just could not get it together. But we'll see here.
And then after the first quarter, basically, people were like, "Oh, here we go again."
I was one of those people. It felt very much like every Saints game I've watched in the Derek Carr era. Like slow start, never come back. Make a rally at the end, but
right at the end, right?
Short.
Exactly.
Right. Although but it was the Bears game, right? So we knew how that was going to go. But either way, let's take a quick break. Come back. This is Inside Black and Gold. Quick mailbag edition or pregame and Kellen Moore's press conference, which should start in about 10 minutes or so. Anyway, Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak, Steve Geller. Stick around. And we are back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak here alongside Steve Geller, 992 RAS. So, okay, there's some responses to me saying it was the fifth fastest ball carrier time this season. And it's tough to say exactly. Not all these GPS trackers are the same, but I'm just telling you, I'm going by next gen stats, the NFL's official stats. Bordelais says it was the fastest, I said it was the fifth fastest, but the broadcast said it was the fastest anyone has run this season. I'm telling you right here, I have it in front of me. Number one was Jonathan Taylor in week 2 on a 43-yard touchdown reception. He ran 22.38 miles per hour. Number 2 was in week 2. It was Jahmyr Gibbs, the Lions running back, ran 22.34 miles per hour on a 42-yard rush. Number 3, Brian Thomas Jr., Jaguars wide receiver, LSU guy, ran 22.13 miles per hour in week 3 on a 46-yard reception.
He caught a ball? Wow. Brian Thomas Jr., I have him in fantasy. He's doing nothing.
Is he not having a good season?
Awful.
I haven't been paying attention.
Awful.
That's a bummer for you. Number 4, Bijan Robinson. So it's interesting that 3 of these are running backs. Number 4 is Bijan Robinson, 21.85 miles per hour. That was in week 4 in a 69-yard reception. If Gronk was here, he would say nice. And number 5, Rashid Shaheed, this week, 21.72 miles per hour on the 87-yard reception touchdown. Like, maybe there are some other numbers out there that will tell you differently. I'm going by the NFL's official numbers here, and it was the 5th fastest. The difference between 21.72 miles per hour and 22.38 miles per hour is not all that significant. They're all really freaking fast. But anyway, that just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we can just all agree at least that boy good.
Yeah, the speed's still there, man. He wants the last Rashid Shaheed's last 2 tweets are about people respecting his speed.
I love he calling out Madden. He's like, Madden football. He's like, boost my numbers.
Fix some speed, man. Fix some speed. Because like
that one is funny, Jeff, that players, they can say all they want about we don't pay attention to this or that. Everybody does pay attention to their Madden ratings.
Yeah, I would too. Are you kidding me? If there was a game that ranked me on all these metrics, I would look at it.
It's like, wait a minute, you have me at a blah, blah, blah stamina? Wait a minute.
The funniest was like they would grade long snappers and be like, you've never seen me catch a ball in my life. Why is my catch rating 10? Anyway, Daniel Blunt says, I feel like we should be playing Stutzman in rotation. You know, and that's a good question. And I do think that, you know, we've seen, I almost feel like if you weren't relying on the young DBs so heavily, that maybe you would be trying to get Danny Stutzman involved. But it's like, at a certain point, you just have way too many young players on the field. And I don't think it's really about Stutzman so much as, you know, I think they like Pete Werner. They like Demario Davis. Pete Werner led the team in tackles last week. Like, he's making an impact.
I just feel like Pete hasn't been that great, though, overall.
He's been fine. He hasn't made any impact plays. He did lead the team in tackles yesterday, so you got to give him credit for that. But, I mean, and it's like, there's no rush to get these guys out there. When there's opportunities, you want to take advantage of it, right? But I'm not even sure if Stutzman would be the first guy off the bench, because I think he'd probably put Jalen Ford in ahead of him. So, like, he's a rookie. His biggest impact is going to be on special teams. And, that's fine.
Ford. You said Ford. It's like, man, it's been a long time since I've heard that name.
He's not, again, because his biggest impact is on special teams.
Yeah.
But like DeMario's not going to play forever, despite what it sure seems like that he is. And Pete's, you know, on the second year of his 2-year contract extension. How long is this contract?
I thought it was through 27.
So he's under contract through 27. So he's got 2 years after this, and it's a reasonable contract number. It's not the type of contract that you've messed with a ton. So, you know, I think Pete's going to be a guy. You talk about Stutzman. Okay, how can Stutzman get in the game? Like, we're going to get to the point this season where teams are going to come a call and saying who's available. And, okay, who on the Saints is like a realistic trade option? Pete Werner has to be on that line of like, would a team actually want to come make a trade? Would they be willing to give up a reasonable asset and make it worth your while? Is he on a contract that a team would be able to pallet? Does he have the production that would make sense? And yeah, the answer is yes for Pete Werner. He's 26. He's got 2 years left in his contract, so a team would have some control over him. He's played in multiple defensive schemes. You know, he's had very successful seasons. He's healthy right now. So, like, if I had to pick 2 players on the Saints defense that if a team came a call, and if say you lose 3 of your next 4 games and you're 2-7 at whenever the trade deadline is, I don't know exactly what it is. Carl Granderson, Pete Werner would probably be the two assets where you could get the most representative deal back. Chris Olave would also be on that line, but I don't know. I don't feel like they're going to do that.
Yeah, I'd be curious, like, maybe not anymore because of their quarterback issues too. The Bengals, since they got Hodges over there as their linebacker coach, would they want to be in the mix for maybe trying to get Warner? But they got a whole lot of mess. They're holding up the signs now too. Please trade for Jameis.
Yeah, it's tough in a season where they don't have the quarterback and it feels like it's lost. But just in the larger sense, like how does Stutzman get on the field? Like how would you eventually get Stutzman involved? It would probably be like, oh yeah, okay, we move Pete, we get some assets back, and then we play the young guys. But that's not going to happen now because he is your best option to win. And you don't just bench a veteran guy to play a rookie when the rookie's not really a better option. Now if there's a gray area, like sure, but Stutzman's would come in and struggle and play like a rookie, and you lose. Like as a head coach, you can't be making decisions like that if you want to keep the respect of your locker room. And I have a feeling Kellen Moore would like to keep the respect of his locker room at this stage.
We've seen too, Stutzman could get that opportunity with injuries.
Yeah, right. Exactly. One injury and he's there. So I'm not rushing to play the guy. He'll get his chances if and when they come. Justin Pasquale says Irishman's chance may be coming soon. And it does feel like I don't think it's coming yet, but a couple more weeks like this, and like, yeah, what do you have to lose? Just throw the kid in there. I can like he can make 60-something% of his field goals, I'll tell you that much. I'd like him to make more. I'd like Blake to make more. But like if the standard is 66%, there's a lot of guys who can do that.
I'll definitely be bugging you to get a Charlie Smith pregame interview then, because I just like hearing him talk.
It's tough to understand on the radio, though. Justin Pasquale says, any word on Reed? I mean, we don't have any yet. He'll be in the concussion protocol this week, but him being out there post-game and not having to hide because he has major concussion symptoms is usually a pretty good sign that, you know, yes, you may have concussion protocol to deal with, but like there's times where you're in concussion protocol and it's like, you know, and it's tough because like, and I don't want to say that he's definitely not dealing with anything serious, because a lot of times if you've ever had a concussion, you know, like sometimes it takes a while for the symptoms to really onset. So who's to say? But I do think it's probably a good sign that he was out there on the field after the game. Let's see, one more, and then a good one. Our red zone offense shouldn't be dependent on old Taysom. That's easy, E6. And there have been a lot of questions about Taysom. So let's finish out on Taysom. Like, I actually I mean, dependent is one thing. I disagree in the sense that, like, that's where I want to see Taysom Hill involved. Because how do you get more efficient in the red zone? It's not by, like, calling trick plays and doing it. It's by running the ball. It's by like, okay, where are you in the red zone? Are you running plays from the 18? Are you running plays from the 11? Are you running plays from the 3? Right? Like, how often have you seen this team when they've struggled in the red zone get down into the low red zone?
Yeah.
That's how you improve in the red zone, is you get to like the 5 and in. And then your playbook expands and you can do so much because they have to worry about on third down, still run the ball. You know, and so, and then you create a fourth down opportunities, because once you're down inside the 5, the analytics will say go, because if you don't get it on fourth down, you're forcing them to start inside their own 5-yard line. So just, I think the improvement in the red zone is, okay, once you get to the 15, I need you to get that next 10 yards. So how do you do that? Well, I think Taysom's going to be a big part of it. And Devon Villay.
I'm just excited to see more of what Kellen Moore has in mind for him, because you know, during that introductory press conference when he came on board, he had glowing things to say. And we just saw the very tip of the iceberg in Sunday's game against the Giants, because I'm still shocked that he was even able to do that much.
Agreed. Speaking of tip, just the tip. I did see a question that was like,
that's what she said.
When is Mason Tipton going to get involved? He did play. I did see Tipton out there in the offense. He was, and I always notice, because if you go back and watch the film, look for Mason Tipton, and you can always tell because he runs so hard on motions. He's like, you see a lot of guys kind of like jogging. Mason Tipton, when he goes in motion, it's like full sprint, just like, it's very funny to me. Like he's running like he's angry at the grass. And I appreciate it. Like, how do you get more time? How do you get more snaps? Well, you go all out. and you give full effort even when it's not your play, even when you're not the primary or the ball's not intended to go to you, because coaches notice that. And when they see a guy doing that, you're going to get more attention. You're going to get more opportunities, especially like the Saints, again, are healthy in the wide receiver room. But if one injury and suddenly a guy like Tipton, if Olave misses a game, Rashid misses a game, a guy like Tipton's going to be important. So, yeah.
Just wanted to bring up real quick, Jeff. Kellen is speaking right now, and he did say that Justin Reed is, in fact, in the concussion protocol.
Yeah, we knew
Not
that.
a surprise. Right.
Yeah, I mean, he has to be in the concussion protocol. But that's going to wrap it up. So thanks for hanging out. I did just hit myself in the head here. You can see it. I was so excited trying to mime running that I actually like scratched my own head. So that's the way.
Injuring yourself.
But all right, Who Dat? Thanks everyone for hanging out. It's been fun. Hopefully we have more post-win episodes. Make sure to subscribe. Hit me up on Twitter at Jeff_Nowak. Hit up Steve at Steve Geller WWL. And until the next time, Who Dat? Go Saints.
Let's get another victory Monday.
Dub 2. Dub 2.